happy Wednesday. I'm finally doing another Wednesday video. It's been a few weeks, so I apologize for that. I thought what I do this Wednesday is I just kind of wanted to take like a checking point and do an update on the top 10 new authors I wanted to read this year and where I am on that. I'm actually pretty far along. I've read 8 out of the 10 authors I wanted to read this year. And as far as whether I like them or not, I'll go through the list and let you know. The list of top 10 authors that I wanted to read this year is over here. The two authors I have not read on that list are Evan Winter. I know he does Rage. It's Rage of Dragons. It's more of an epic fantasy style, and I just really have not been in an epic fantasy mood. My attention span is a little short, so I've been reading shorter books. And then the second one I have not read yet is Melissa Scott, which I'm showing you upside down because that's awesome. So she wrote Night Sky Mine and Trouble in Her Friends. And the only reason I haven't read these yet is pretty dumb. It's just that I've been reading a lot of books on Kindle, and a lot of these older paper books, the print is so tiny, and every time I start reading, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I want to read it on my Kindle. So, and it's just nicer, like when I'm reading on my Kindle, I can backlight it and not have the light on, and my husband can go to bed if he wants or whatever. Anyways, we got some crazy bangs going on here again. So those are the 2 that I haven't read out of this list of 10. But let's talk about the ones I have read. So the author I was most excited to read this year was Namina, who does the Gilded Ones. And I actually have 2 copies of that now. I have the review copy I got to read, and then I got a alternate cover version from Owl Crate that's signed by the author that is still shrink wrapped. So I actually have 2 copies of this, and I really, really loved it. I thought it was really good. It's a young adult fantasy about a woman who finds out she's her blood runs gold, and she finds out she's part demon, and she ends up getting sent to this camp to be trained to fight for the kingdom or empire or whatever it's called. Again, I read this a long time ago at this point, but I really, really loved it. I enjoyed it a lot. It's not like a super elaborate fantasy, but it just had a lot of action. It was very well written, a lot of interesting themes. So yeah, big fan of Namina Forna, and really looking forward to future books in the Deathless series. So that's the series that this is part of. All right, the second author I have on my list I wanted to read is Szabo, and she wrote What Big Teeth, and I liked that one. I didn't love it. It's about a girl who comes home from boarding school, and she kind of literally lives in a family of monsters. They're like werewolves and stuff. And it was about her kind of navigating her family and that society. It's got kind of a dark, gothic tone to it. Things got a little weird at the end of that one. It was a little out there for me. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was well written. I just thought at points the pacing was a little bit slow. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And so I did enjoy What Big Teeth. And I will probably be checking out more from Szabo in the future. All right, third author I wanted to read, and I did read, is Jessica Rubinkowsk, who wrote The Bright and the Pale. I absolutely love this. I'm very much into fantasy adventure right now, I think, because I can't go places and have many of my own adventures. And The Bright and the Pale was really good. It's set in kind of this snowy, like mountainous area, and I was reading it in the winter, so it kind of like matched that very well. It involves a lot of exploring these caves through the mountains. I mean, there is some politics and a plot and a bit of a love story as well, but I just love the adventure and the setting, and it was really well written and really engaging. So yeah, I really like that, and I am definitely going to be continuing with that series and continuing to read Jessica Rubinkowsk as long as, she's still writing stuff I'm interested in. All right, the fourth book on the list the fourth author on the list is Jessica S. Olson, who released Sing Me Forgotten. I liked this one. I didn't love it. Again, I felt kind of about the same way as I did for What Big Teeth. Sing Me Forgotten is about a girl who can influence people's emotions with her singing. It's set in a fantasy world that seems somewhat Venetian of sorts, and there's some races of people who can control people through magic. In her powers, she can like manipulate people's emotions through singing. It's supposed to be kind of a Phantom of the Opera retelling, but the Phantom is this young girl. It was a really neat concept. It's really beautifully written with a lot of amazing description. I was not super fond of the characters. I think like everybody in this book felt kind of selfish and kind of gray to me. I didn't really like any of their actions, right? And I kind of like to like my characters. Like I like to relate to them and engage with them and like them. And that was probably my biggest problem with this book is I just did not like the characters. I just thought they made bad decisions. I thought they were selfish, and it is beautifully written. It is an interesting concept, and if you do like, I know the Phantom Opera is all kind of about people being a little bit gray, morally gray, so that was represented well in here, but I struggled with it liking the characters. I just thought, oh, they're all being so mean to each other. So yeah, I liked it, and I will probably check out books by Jessica S. Olson in the future. I just didn't love that book, but enjoyed it. All right, so I actually have a couple authors I was not able to finish the book, and this next author is one of those, and that is Gabriela Houston, who wrote The Second Bell. Again, this was released by Angry Robot Publishing, and I always really enjoy their stuff because it's usually a little different. I ended up reading maybe 20% of this and just didn't finish it. I struggled a lot because the author kept changing point of view to like other characters surrounding the main characters. So like the story was supposed to be about this one character who is a Strega, so the whole society is like the Strega, the witches live apart from everybody else, and we were following a character that like moved from the village, and they found out she was a witch, and she went to live with these witches. And you hear from a lot, like first you hear her history, and you hear from her mother, and then you're hearing from like some of her friends. But it was weird because the story is supposed to be about her, and you don't really actually hear from her very much. The point of view jumps around a lot. It was very fractured. I just couldn't get into the writing style. I didn't find it very engaging. And the whole thing ended up being kind of boring because I couldn't stay engaged in the story. I couldn't really follow why they were following these other characters. The characters, again, weren't very likable or interesting, and there just wasn't much going on. And I thought about continuing reading it because I got to the point where she was going to go off kind of on this like mission thing. But after reading some other reviews on Goodreads, it didn't sound like it got any better. It sounds like it got worse. So I just put it aside. I didn't have the patience for it. And I most likely will not be picking up anything from Gabriela Houston in the future just because I didn't like this kind of fractured writing style where we're jumping all over the place. And I didn't like it. All right. So, of course, I'm trying to count here. The sixth one was Evan Winter. I have not read Rage of Dragons yet. The seventh one was Daphne du Maurier, and I read My Cousin Rachel by her, and I didn't really like it. It was okay. I guess for some reason I didn't realize that these are older books, like quite older, and they actually age pretty well. Like they were easy. It was an easy book to read, and it was entertaining. I just didn't like how open-ended the story was. I'm not a big fan of authors who like in something super open and you're like, well, okay, so now I really don't know what happened at all. And I know some people like that because it generates a lot of discussion, but I am not a fan of that. And My Cousin Rachel just was completely open-ended. Like you don't know what the main character did and what she didn't do, and I did not like it. I thought it was kind of cute and witty and well written, but I didn't like the ending. I didn't really like the characters, and I just thought it was slow. I mean, you could tell it's an older book, and that's okay, but I didn't like it. So I will not be reading any Daphne du Maurier. The seventh author I was going to read is Rosanne A. Brown, and I have not read her yet. I guess there are three. I didn't realize I messed up there. There's three authors I haven't read, so I'll have to update that. Anyways, and that is she wrote something about Wraiths and Ruin. I meant to read her like a lot earlier in the year, and I never did. I'll put the book that I was going to read by her over here, and I think I just never did because I was reading a ton of fantasy, and I'm trying to kind of catch up on series that I'm behind on right now. And once I get caught up on that, I will definitely put on A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. I will definitely pick that up because I know at one point I was like going to read that book next, and then I bought it for Kindle and returned the other book to the library, and then just got involved in our stuff, and I haven't ever got back to it. So, all right, the 9th author that I wanted to read in 2021 that I read is Tamsen Mir, who writes Gideon the Ninth, the Locked Tomb series, and I did not finish this book. I did not like the writing style at all. I know a lot of people love this novel. It's like a science fiction type-ish novel, and with some fantasy aspects to it. I didn't like it. I hated the writing style. It just was so fractured, so all over the place. I could not stay engaged in it. I tried and tried. I didn't like it. There are just some authors that I cannot read their writing style, and Tamsyn Muir is one of them. I can't do it. So I will not be continuing the Locked Tomb series. I think I got about 10% through this one, and I was just like, no, this isn't working for me, and I set it aside. So again, then the 10th author I was going to read is Melissa Scott, and as I mentioned at the beginning, I haven't got a chance to read her yet. So, I've read 7 out of the 10 authors. I apologize. I think I said 8 out of 10 at the beginning of this, but so that's pretty good, and I do plan on getting to Melissa Scott pretty soon. I also plan on getting to Rosanne A. Brown, who wrote A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, pretty soon, and then I'll probably push out Evan Winter a little bit because I'm hoping I'm in more of a mood to read epic fantasy later in the year. We'll see. So that's kind of the update on top 10 authors I wanted to read in 2020, and the ones that I loved. Against the ones that I really loved was Namina, Forna, and Jessica Rubinkowski. All the other ones I either thought were okay or liked or did not finish. So I'll put a list of the authors below and links to the book reviews below, and I hope you enjoyed this little update. I know it's not the most creative Wednesday post, but I thought it would be fun, and I hope you guys have a great week of reading, and I will talk to you on Saturday. Bye!